$1 million man always gets his way. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
And the child shall lead them to buy our merch.
Yep.
Viva capitalism. This is for the big homie Hector.
Yes. Shout out to you.
Shout out to the homie. Okay. This is Avenged Sevenfold. Now, Hector, I know you had 2 versions, the official and live version. A little birdie, just to give you guys a little secret. We actually did the live version, and Avenged Sevenfold blocked it. Now, Avenged Sevenfold didn't block it. It was the band's
label,
nasty-ass record label that blocked it.
Still, it couldn't be viewed by anyone.
It couldn't be viewed by anyone. But never you found. We found a solution. And so here we are. Guys, because we play the video straight through, sometimes we get blocked. 99% of the time we get copyright claims, that's okay because we compensate with that with Patreon. But from time to time, because we play the video from front to back, it gets blocked. Avenged Sevenfold blocked it. But anyway, here is the song. And let's go. That's that Iron Maiden shit. Michelle's parents. Holy moly. And shout out to Avenged Sevenfold. That song was ridiculous. Y'all didn't know your brother could sing. Did you? Did you? Shout out to the big homie Hector.
Thank you for bringing back one of the original bands.
You know,
this was the first band that one of the first bands that we listened to where we were like, oh yeah, they're going to copyright us? Then we're not playing their music.
Yeah.
And then we started realizing, wait, they're
It's
copying us?
Everyone. Then I looked
Everybody.
at Miami. I'm like, well, all our songs are copyrighted.
Yeah, because when we
Why
first...
are we not making any money on this channel?
This is terrible!
Like, we had like 50,000 views
Yeah.
on the thing. No money. Which is why, you know,
Yep,
we saw above.
we came up with this idea.
We do the Patreon thing.
Thank you, Hector.
Okay, so Hector, shout out to the homie.
Yeah, so there's no way to survive this unless we become filthy capitalists. This is a sad one, I think.
This is a band that had the drummer die. Remember that? The Tonight We All Die Young song? Remember?
Yeah.
That's this band.
Is that what he's singing about?
I'm almost certain. You know, he talks. I think he lost 2 of his childhood friends because he says 2 in my heart have left me a while. I stand alone. There was one guy, the drummer died, but then I think there was another guy in the band that they had to kick out because he was
alcoholic,
drug,
too much, right?
drug
Or
stuff.
something,
Yeah. So now, you know, it's a
Yeah.
song about losing, you know, 2 of your very, very closest friends. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this, you know, in a different video where I talked about, you know, how most of our friendships are planned obsolescence. Like they're not going to last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it usually comes at the end of some sort of season where both people know the thing is over. Mm-hmm. But because of idealism or whatever, they want to keep pushing it. But this is a separate type of circumstance where it's not over in the sense of the relationship is still healthy and great, but then somebody, not necessarily healthy maybe, because the second one wasn't. But if you're not getting those senses, that's what I think it is. I think when any relationship is over, I'm particularly talking about friendship, like you get the sense that something's mega different, something changed, you know, and then you just go your separate ways. But I think it's particularly painful when things are going good in the sense that you and that person are not done. There's still intentionality to be in each other's lives in a very genuine way, and then that person gets taken from you. It's extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's one of those things, man, where it's like they make a lot of songs about this guy.
Yeah, I wonder if this is though after he passed away or...
I'm certain it's after
because
he
it
passed
says,
away.
wishing the clock would stand still, the world can wait.
Yeah.
Wasting away once again, once lived as friends.
By the way, shout out to Brian Chedever. He the guy I worked with way back in the day. And he had all these health maladies. It's kind of like the Rev, because the Rev had all these... I think he had a heart problem.
Yeah.
I think he had a heart issue, which is interesting because 2 in my heart have left me a while. But Brian's a kid who used to work with me, and he had like... It was diabetes. He had type 1 diabetes. Mm-hmm. And I just saw the RIP notification from one of our mutual friends, and it was like... I couldn't believe it, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that's a kid that was all. So I went to his webpage, his Facebook page, and it just killed me, man, because he had posted as recently as 4 days ago, and he was talking about how he overcame his opioid addiction, and he was like, you know, with COVID and all this, like, you know, it could have killed me, and he's like, you know, don't judge anyone for using this stuff, and don't judge yourself, you know, if you're. You know, whatever.
Wow.
He's like, I made it. If I can make it, anybody can make it. Is what he said. Shout out to the homie. But
wow.
And then he died in his sleep.
And it was COVID?
I don't know what it was, but he fought like, you know, he fought through. We had him on like permanent, like, you can leave anytime you want to type thing. Like, he had it was diabetes and some other thing that was really screwing him up. So like, he had a golden ticket from, you know, But it was just, again, you know, we've been talking a lot about your feelings are going to follow the story that you tell. Mm-hmm. So I look at him and I'm like, are you serious? Like, this kid overcame something. I mean, he's my age. He overcame something that a lot of people cannot overcome. And
then he dies in his sleep.
And he fights. I think he was detoxing. He talked about, he felt sick. He felt like he's gonna, you know, he felt like he was dying, withdrawing from the, and he pulled it off. And that was his last Facebook post, like basically encouraging people and being like, hey. And then, you know, his dad, you know, his dad was like, oh.
So wait, he just got off it? He just went through that?
Yeah, he just like posted the thing about overcoming it. Now, obviously, you overcome it a little bit before you post, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I went one day without heroin. Like, he completely kicked the habit, went through detox rehab.
Yeah.
And then he dies in his sleep, you know? So it's like, if you look at this band, like,
I mean, I guess if it's your day to go, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like, you have a day and that's your day.
right.
It'd be better off to have kicked your habit and then die in your sleep than to die by your habit.
Well, that's what I mean by what story you tell, right? Because you can look and say, God, really, what a terrible fucking game that was to play to this kid. Mm-hmm. He gets rewarded, you know, you took him, you know, but at the same time, it's like, or you can say the kid followed through on what his obligations were, and his last assignment was to get addicted to opioids, quit it, and then be an inspiration to everybody. So I know right now, I believe in perfect faith that somebody's gonna be liberated from opioid addiction based on this review right now and this conversation. And so in that sense, you know, yeah, I talk to Ian all the time about reversal, but it again, it depends on what story you tell. The story was, you got a guy that grinded really hard, had all these things stacked against him, and then when he finally overcomes this most recent challenge, God just comes in and squashes him.
Yeah.
If you tell that story, you're going to be hopeless, depressed, upset, angry, and etc.
And you might decide not to quit.
Right. But if you tell yourself the story, this dude was with us for, God said, okay, he's going to be with you guys for 33 years. And then that's as much time as you get with him. And again, you know, it just changed my perspective. You know, the first person that really helped me with that was John Piper. Because he loved his father. I mean, his father was everything to him. Like, he idolized his father. Like, insanely idolized his father. Mm-hmm. And his dad died, and he had such a difficult time with it. And he shot a video from the cemetery where he buried his dad, and he said, you know, I spent some time like being upset and saying like, how could you take away this person from me? And then he said, or I could say, thank you for giving him to me for 72 years. Like, thank you for loaning me this amazing person for 72 years who's been an absolute blessing in my life. So I just, you know, it just depends on what story. And it doesn't unsad you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm, you know, like, but it's important to view things in a way that's going to give you some hope and determination to go through tomorrow. You know?
I think, though, that when you feel discouraged, then to say that to yourself just feels like a giant lie to try to make yourself drum up to yourself to feel better, because you already feel so depressed and everything feels so dark that...
Yeah, and that's why I'm such a big person on dominating my own narrative, because I agree with you. When I first saw that, I mean, I didn't know at the time, but God was preparing me for me getting me to see that, to prepare me to deal with, because all the losses after that came back to back. So, yeah, but it wasn't something I got immediately, but it was something where it never left me. And, you know, I kept applying it in other situations. And once you do that, then when the bullets really start flying and it's really go time, you're gonna lean on that because that's your training.
Yeah.
But this is
I can see that.
Yeah.
That I can see that.
This is like the 11th song I've heard from these guys about this guy. And it's I remember being in the hood and Big had died. It was like 1999. And Big had been dead for 2 years. He died in 97. And every time you saw Puffy on TV, he was talking about Big. Every time they would open a show, there'd be like a little 2-minute thing about Biggie. And one of my friends, he's crazy. His name is Eugene. He goes, "Man, why can't they just let this nigga rest, bro? Just like rest in peace, my nigga. Like let's move on, blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I think this is weird, bro. I think Puffy's just doing that shit for attention." That's because we hadn't lost anybody yet, and that's not how grief operates. We were we had some cash on us, so we saw some kids playing basketball, which is a sight that we have not seen in quite some time.
They took down all the hoops, so nobody can play.
Yeah, I mean, they literally, I don't know what they do in your guys' state or city, but they literally take the hoops. The city takes the hoops off. So these kids found basically some back alley to play ball at. And so we had a little bit of change. So I pulled up, and I was like, "Who wants $20?" And they're like, "I want it." And I was like, "All right, cool. We'll play the three.
Fun.
We'll play the three. The first person that beats me is going to get the 20, right?" So obviously I'll let the kid win.
I thought for a second you were serious. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. You looked. Ooh.
So he gets the 20. He gets the 20, right? And
it was close though. It had to keep going over.
People were like, "Oh my, blah blah blah," So we get in the car and we, I used to play basketball all the time with those guys, so I was like, "Yeah, we should probably get him a Gatorade." I said something about Gatorade, of course, story. She goes, so she goes to the place. I was like, "Yeah, I get like 5 or whatever God tells you to do." Story comes back with 15 Gatorades. We jump in the car and go back, and then we pull up on those kids again. They're like, "What's up? What's up? What's up?" I was like, "Hey, come here!" And then we gave them the 3 bags of Gatorade. They're like, "Oh my!" And it's Ramadan, so they can't drink. So these kids will play basketball all day,
gosh.
And they cannot drink till sundown.
It was almost sundown.
It was almost sundown. So it was just perfect. So we got, and we pull out, we're going to the mailbox. People are like, "What does this have to do with Avenged Sevenfold?" I just started crying because, Lee Ban was it's a kid that lived around here, and he died COVID. And like, I used to pull up from work. I'd stop, I'd pull up from work and I'd get a game in. And Lee Ben was like very, he was small and he was goofy, so he never got picked. So, I just pick him and stuff. And obviously summer hits. He hits a growth spurt. He's taller than me now, so I pull up. He's like, "Yo, Vin, let's go, bro. I got you, Vin. I'm gonna pick you up." And then after the game, we would go get Gatorade. So like, being around those boys, teenage boys, and watching them play and then getting the Gatorade, it's just very hard. And it's very shocking because it's like, my point is, grief just comes at you. It's not this one-time thing. So these guys grew up together. I'm pretty, A7 fans are telling me these guys grew up together, and so grief doesn't operate that way. It's not like, I was listening to a guy that I used to work with, and he lost a lot of people, and it wasn't his fault. I mean, that's just how it goes. And he was always like a real hard dude, man. Like, you guys will be down and stuff, you hear bad news, obviously you're going to be down, but you're still going to be a professional. But he he was just a hard dude, man. It's like he didn't care. He'd be like, hey, so and so, blah blah blah. You know, hey, make them feel how we feel, blah. In a meeting, like, and then everybody's looking at each other like, what are we supposed to do with this? And I caught a radio interview with him, and pretty famous guy in the motivational circuit or whatever. And he talked about how his cat died, and he cried for 4 hours, like heaving, sobbing, but he never cried for any of his guys. But this cat, he just, and obviously we know what happened is he was stuffing it. Then the cat caught him off guard, and there was no mission to continue, so he didn't have to look past it. I mean,
yeah.
And I understand, like, you go through a door, your buddy gets shot, you're trained to step over him and keep going. Like, that's how Czech died. I mean, he was. So it's like, it's like, yeah, it's really difficult.
That's gotta be extremely difficult because you'd think you'd second guess everything. Like,
right.
Maybe if I had just turned around, like maybe.
Yeah, and like cats, right? Like, there is no reason for him to stuff his grief because whatever, he was already out.
Yeah.
So that made it okay, and so he. But grief doesn't function like most things in human nature. Grief doesn't function in a linear fashion, and sometimes it takes you off guard.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it was like that because when we left, you were like, basically, like, that was for you, Laban. And that was like, I had the thought in my head the minute you said Gatorade, I was thinking about him. I never met him. I just heard the story. But hearing you say that was, it's also hard because he was a kid, you know what I mean? Like, younger than us. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, and so was Rev. I'm pretty sure probably close to the same age when they died. Who knows? But
really?
Yeah. Never will I forget you and all the
memory.
memory.
Their parents.
Growing, I looked to you in guidance. We knew that time would kill us, but you're still so close to me. You were my life. You were my soul companion. Now you're so far away. Yeah, I mean. And I love that. I love that dudes are able to say that about other dudes and not worry about the, when we'd be in the hood and some shit would go down or whatever, and it got a little messy, it got a little bloody or whatever, and you go around and make sure everybody's clean. And my best friend would always say, like, man, I love you, man. He's like, I love you, and like, I love you too. And then we'd always say, no homo. Like, that's how crazy and homophobic ghetto culture is. But yeah, we would tell each other, and then we'd just say, he'd always say, yo, Vin, no homo, but blah 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 blah, like, you look really nice today or whatever, you're gonna bag some broads today, blah blah blah. Shout out to the homie. But like, men are not encouraged to say you were my soul companion.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm glad you see that. Biblically, you had relationships like that where dudes were like, I loved you more than I loved my wives, like.
Oh no.
I just think that those friendships are important. I think we have a very, very hard time with expressing that shit. And it's always got to be some crazy
circumstance that kind of brings it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how we're training our boys, though.
The Middle East is not like that. Like, you go to the middle, like, you see dudes literally walking like hand in hand. Like, if that's their man, that's their man. Like, they'll walk hand in hand, and it's nothing. There's no whatever. Like, so other cultures,
I feel like that's healthy. Actually.
They're extremely emotive. They'll kiss each other at funerals and all that, and it's just this weird, whatever American whatever culture it is, where Western culture, Middle Eastern culture is a little bit different, but anyway, R.I.P. to Brian, R.I.P. to Lee Man. It's those guys are both inspirational to me. Definitely not gonna forget them.
They did a really good job on the live version.
They did a really good job.
Because, like I say, in every live version, it's the acoustics. You never know what they're going to sound like when you're in a different environment.
Especially open air, forget it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when we practice our song, and sometimes we practice it, like, we'll practice it in the car, we'll practice it in the room, and, like, I have to adjust myself to each different place because of how the sound waves
100%.
bounce off other things. And, like, we tried singing at the ocean. That one was really different. So, like, these people don't know what they're going to get, how big or small the crowd is going to be, because that will also affect the sound. And they nailed it. They really good job.
Yeah, I compare, like, outdoor venues. An outdoor venue with, like, a rock show with a ceiling is like listening with your headphones. Mm-hmm. And the open air stuff is like listening from the speaker. Basically, is as close as I could come to the analogy. But these guys, I mean, that was always a way for me to measure how good a band was how close their live
is to the
sound was. And,
absolutely.
And then I was blown away. Like Tool, for example, is a better live band than a studio band.
It's crazy.
It's just true. Like, I don't know why, but there's something that gets lost in translation. Anyway, for me with Tool on the disc, where when I hear Maynard singing or whatever, like the first time I noticed it was with the Lateralis song, and it was like reaching up, and it was just like,
yeah,
I was like, holy shit, this is better. And you could just, the bass that boom, 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 like it was so pronounced. It was unbelievable. And these guys, I mean, they're not Tool, but these guys are at least for this song, bro, they were on point. I cannot imagine that the studio version is going to be like oodles better than it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in a song like that, I want to see the crowd. Mm-hmm. You know, because one of the 10 million reasons that the Rev had to die was so that, you know, they could make music like this, which I'm certain has saved many a life.
Yeah.
So. Shout out to the Rev. Appreciate your sacrifice, my guy. Shout out to Jesus of Nazareth, too. Appreciate yours, big bro. What do you get the song?
9.1.
I thought I went with that. 9.1.5. Moral of the story is if you need help with your opioid addiction, we're going to try to put a link in the description.
Yep, get the help. Don't wait until tomorrow. What do they say? Don't wait till tomorrow for what you can get done today.
And you, whoever you are, at least one of you, when you've kicked your addiction and Brian was the reason, please send me an email so that I can celebrate with the crew.
Yep.
All right. Jesus. I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time. But I just felt compelled to pray for my friends and everybody that's feeling blue in this horrible situation we call the pandemic, and just everything overall. God, I pray you give everybody peace and love, and that everybody would have at least one friend. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're out of here. Becca, keep your head up. You heard? Mm-hmm. Then out.
Sorry out.
Gone.